Hey movie fans, so this kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it? I wasn't expecting to talk about this today. I wasn't expecting to talk about anything DCU related, but I had another video in mind that I was going to start working on another day or two here, but we'll just push that back a few more days down the road here. For now, we're just going to keep this one a little low key because I was not expecting this one. So we're just going to throw this one up real quick and kind of get your thoughts, my thoughts on the new Superman movie, the unofficial sequel. And it feels more like a straightforward sequel than we were originally led to believe, which is totally fine with me. So what we're getting is Man of Tomorrow or Superman Man of Tomorrow. I'm not entirely sure if Man of Tomorrow is the name of the movie or just the subtitle, but James Gunn has also said he's not a big fan of subtitles, so maybe it's just Man of Tomorrow and not Superman Man of Tomorrow. Either way, I'm super on board with it. So we've got Man of Tomorrow coming out July 9th, 2027. A whole heck of a lot sooner than I was expecting. It's also the same year as the Batman Part 2. So we're going to get sequels to big Batman and Superman franchises within the same year, but I don't think it means they're in the same universe. I know some people are going to look at that and go like, oh, now that confirms that Superman and Batman exist in the same universe. We're going to get Corn Sweat and Pattinson in the same movie. I'm like, I think it's an accident. I think it's a coincidence here. I don't think it's anything more than that. I did say that I think this is more of a sequel than we were initially led to believe, because when James Gunn was teasing the next quote unquote Superman project, it seemed like it was a Superman co-starring thing, like a Superman and Supergirl, or what I kind of hope for, a Superman and Nightwing crossover, even though I knew there was zero chance of that happening. But it seemed like it was like a ensemble piece, and for all we know, it could still be. But this feels like a actual, true, proper Superman sequel, and I'm really on board with that, because it took us forever to get anything new Superman related. Like, that's why I was so excited for the Corn Sweat Superman, just because it's been so long since we got a solo Superman movie, but even longer since we got a Superman sequel. The problem with the Henry Cavill era of DC is that it took them so long to develop projects and standalone projects. They immediately went right into Batman vs. Superman coming off of Man of Steel, that we didn't get a Man of Steel 2, and I would have loved to have seen that for Cavill and to continue that character's journey. So the fact that we get that for Corn Sweat Superman, I'm beyond excited. Now, we got a little bit of artwork from James Gunn that kind of teases the story direction, but it could be interpreted a bunch of different ways, as is usually the case with James Gunn announcements. So he dropped some artwork of David Cornsweat Superman in comic book form, standing next to Lex Luthor in his comic book battle suit. Y'all, if this means we're finally getting Battlesuit Lex after all these years and all these kind of start-stop, it could happen. I'm still not over the fact that we got that toy for Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice with Lex in the battlesuit, and we didn't end up getting that. I never forget. But the fact that we could be getting Battlesuit Lex finally. But the thing that stood out to me with the pictures was, for the most part, Superman and Lex might be on the same page. Like, they might be working together. They might be like reluctant allies against some other force here. I think that is interesting. That's an interesting direction that I did not expect. When I talked about the 7 possibilities that I think we could be getting for a new Superman movie, like the Superman sequel, that was absolutely not one of the ones that I suggested, just because it seems so out of left field. It seemed like they're going to stick with Lex as the tried and true bad guy. I can kind of see the direction that they might be going if this is truly the case. Maybe, just maybe, after the events of this first Superman movie, and now that Lex is in Bel Rev prison, I kind of think we're going to see him in a few weeks, by the way, but we'll circle back to that in a little bit here. Maybe after the events of the first Superman movie, he's looking for something to kind of get good PR again, and he's willing to work with Superman to reestablish his image, to maybe one day go for that presidential campaign, because I could absolutely see President Lex Luthor in this universe. Or maybe, just maybe, there's a threat too big for Superman and maybe even the members of the Justice Gang, because we've already got some members of the Justice Gang teasing their involvement. You had Isabella Merced, who played Hawkgirl, immediately taking to Instagram to tease her potential involvement in this project. Maybe there's a threat out there that is too big for even Superman and the Justice Gang, and they need to call on the smartest person they know at the moment, because we don't know what's going on with Batman, it's one of those situations of Lex has to prove that he is the smartest person and be, in fact, smarter than a Brainiac. I know it's wishful thinking. Brainiac to me is I keep getting my hopes up, but it never actually happens. It's like the boy who cried wolf, the boy who cried Brainiac. Maybe someday we will get Brainiac on a big screen. But if there's ever a threat that could actually unite Superman and Lex Luthor, I could 100% see it being Brainiac. I just want it to be Brainiac, please, in some way, shape, or form. I wanted that back when I thought this could be a Superman and Supergirl movie. But the two of them working together, seemingly, again, that's just what we're implying from the artwork, but it wouldn't be unheard of to see the two working together. Yes, they're mostly adversaries and they're greatest rivals of each other, but there have been plenty of times in the comics that suggest that they've worked together, like DC Rebirth, which I was going to say is a recent thing, but Rebirth started in 2016, so that was almost 10 years ago. And once again, I hate time. But more recently, you had Josh Williamson with the Supercore storyline. Granted, Lex Luthor wasn't directly involved with that, but there's this underlying Luthor scheme where he pretends he's on Superman's good graces, but they worked together similarly on the same page in the past. I think they could be going down that road just because, and again, that's why you come to this channel, I'm reading way too much into things, and I'm reading way too much into the art itself. Not only is it Superman standing next to Lex in battle armor, but the artists in particular that they went with are more modern artists. So maybe, just maybe, it's the same artists that worked on some of those storylines, in which case they're familiar. You've got Jim Lee, just because I feel like Jim Lee does all those like alternate covers. He did that Robert Pattinson Batman one right when the movie was coming out. But you also have Jorge Jimenez. Maybe, just maybe, we're pulling from newer comics, because James Gunn, when he was making the first Superman movie, was very much inspired by older comics like For All Seasons and All-Star Superman, or Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. That's a story from the 80s. Maybe for the sequel, he's going for more modern comics, and he had more modern artists to tease that. Again, I could be reading so far into this, but that's why you're here. Something that I did find interesting, that I saw quite a few people comment on this and suggest that this could be a possibility, but I want to credit the original person that commented on it, which is Jaeger What If 4679, originally suggested that this movie could potentially be from Lex Luthor's perspective, not Superman, and Lex is the main character and Superman is the supporting character. I think that's an interesting concept, but I don't know if I fully buy it. I think this is still a Superman movie, but it's a Superman with a reluctant partner story. Again, I'm reading into it and assuming that they're reluctant partners just based off the images and whatnot. It could just be another Superman and Lex Luthor movie, but I kind of don't want that to be the case. We have gotten so many Superman movies now where it's Luthor as the bad guy. There is such an untapped well of great Superman villains that I really want to lean into. I'm fine with Luthor still being a major presence in the DC universe, as he should be. He's one of the big villains in any DC universe. There's other characters in Superman's repertoire that I want to see more. I want to see Brainiac. I want to see Parasite. I want to see Bizarro the correct way if we see him again. If you've seen the first Superman, you know we kind of got a version of that ish, but like true Bizarro or Metallo or Toyman. I want to see other Superman villains besides just Luthor. So if this is a straightforward Superman versus Luthor again, I'm gonna be a little disappointed, but that seems too straightforward, and James Gunn doesn't do straightforward. That's why I think it's just too much assuming right now. And again, that's what we do as comic book fans, but we're just making a lot of assumptions right now, and these could be way off when we finally get to it, which is only 2 years from now, less than 2 years from now, which is insane. Apparently this is going into production in June. James Gunn very rarely ever goes the conventional route. So whatever our earliest rumors and speculation are here, I think they're probably going to be way off by the time the movie actually comes out. But I do think the timing of this announcement is interesting. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Luthor appearance sooner rather than later. In fact, He's one of the names that I think will be a surprise cameo in Peacemaker. In the trailer, we see Rick Flag Sr. say that he's going to go see a prisoner in Belle Reve prison. We know that's where Lex Luthor ends up at the end of the first Superman movie. And here's the thing, if Peacemaker is going to keep using a pocket door, like in the pocket dimension, to go to a parallel dimension, there's no one else in this universe besides maybe Mr. Terrific that knows more about pocket dimensions than Lex Luthor. We know, according to James Gunn himself, the final 3 episodes of Peacemaker are going to be bonkers. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we introduce whoever this new threat is, because they keep mentioning how Peacemaker Season 2 kind of sets the stage for the future of the DC Universe. Maybe Luthor shows up. Maybe Superman shows up. Maybe stuff that will be set up for the bigger Gods and Monsters phase, or whatever we're calling this era, is in the latter half of Peacemaker, and they're announcing this new Superman movie before those episodes come out. I do think the timing is very, very interesting. We're riding this Peacemaker hype. This news, as far as we know, isn't Peacemaker related, but we could circle back to this in about 4 or 5 weeks and be like, oh yeah, this is tied to Peacemaker. Again, we still have a lot of projects we don't know about. Supergirl or the Lanterns. There could be a much bigger plan here that we don't know about yet. But I think James Gunn is starting to breadcrumb out little things for us to go, here are the connective tissues. Now you can start connecting the dots. Again, we could be way off on a lot of this speculation. It could be a straightforward Superman and Lex Luthor movie. But I feel like it's going to be a team-up movie with the two of them working to take down probably Brainiac, but there's a lot of interesting other characters that I think we could go with. There's so many interesting Superman villains I would love to see someday. We've already talked about it. I think this is a really great, really encouraging sign for the DC Universe. We're not waiting around for another Superman movie or another sequel. I look forward to this a lot. I loved the first Superman. I want to see more in this world. I look forward to seeing these characters again and just kind of grow that relationship and the dynamic between the characters, see that rivalry between Superman and Lex Luthor blossom even more, and probably ultimately lead to Lex Luthor becoming president. I think that that's probably going to be the direction that we go to, and maybe him banning metahumans, because there seemed to be that underlying theme in both Peacemaker and Superman of like the people don't like metahumans, and they really wouldn't like metahumans if Luthor was in charge. So many thoughts and theories swirling around in my head right now, but I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? You see Man of Tomorrow, or Superman Man of Tomorrow, whatever we're going to end up calling it, gets announced for 2027. What do you think the direction will be for this movie? Are you excited for it? Are you not? Whatever your thoughts, let me know down in the comments below, as I care from you guys. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.